Oh yeah! Go! Amazing! That's my boy! That's my boy!
He breaks away from a sack and completes the pass for first down.
Kittle just may have made the most amazing catch.
He fights for the first down and gets out of bounds too.
It's no good.
Overtime.
Oh, what a catch! How do you drop that? What are you, Jamal Adams? Touchdown!
This is a touchdown all the way!
He reached over the pylon. San Francisco beat Cincinnati. Hello and welcome to the Wacky Wednesday Show with Jets Chaos. And you know who's coming. He'll come a little later. What's going on? What's the topic today? What are all the liars? I call them liars. What are all the liars talking about now? Oh, they're shopping Aaron Rodgers. San Francisco's going to take him away. More lies. I tell you, more lies, and people will jump all over those lies and use it to create fear and use it to scare you and to get you to click on their little videos. But let me tell you something. If you were paying attention to Aaron Rodgers at all, he's the one deciding. They can't trade him anywhere unless he said that's where he would want to go. Because Aaron Rodgers could say, I'm retiring, and boom. Poof, $60 million. That's how much is on your cap. So the Niners, Green Bay has absolutely zero power here. It's a lie. They can't shop him anywhere because Aaron Rodgers can simply say, no, I won't play. So that's my thoughts about that. Now let's look in the comments, see who's here. New York Jets superfan is here. Jacob Finnegan is here. You needed this show tonight. I lost my grandma today. And I've been really down the inside. I'm sorry, man. We will do everything we can to keep you happy and distracted in any way. But our thoughts are with you, my friend. I'm so sorry, Jacob. But hopefully this will serve as a distraction for you. Harlan is here. Harlan Abraham. Aunt Jets is here. Aunt Jets 82. Dino is in the house. Well, thank you. I like being a favorite teacher. Hennessy is in the house. Good to see you, Hennessy. Red John is here. The answer to the question is no. Other Green Bay Packers speaking to other teams about AROD. Well, the Main Street media would try to make you think that they are, wouldn't they? John Nolte is in the house. Everyone, Jets family, I see you coming together to support Jacob Finnegan. Thank you. Obviously, it doesn't surprise me that you would. We're such a good, family. You guys are so good to each other. So we're all going to take care of Jacob, whatever you need, my friend. But I will try to keep the energy up for you and be, if you're hoping for a good show and you want the distraction, I will try to give that to you. Rob V is in the house. Ronald Perry's in the house. My friend Michael Lando is here. And, Rodgers going to San Francisco for lunch or dinner because it's not to play football. Yeah, look, a lot of people go to San Francisco, right? It's a fun place. San Francisco got Sam Darnold, Trey Lance, Purdy. They got 1 million quarterbacks already. And we got a super chat already. Thank you for E-Boogie. No team will take his contract with the Jets. That's where he chose he wanted to play, and that's the only team that's going to get him. Our deal is in no danger. Chaos versus control. So I am going to Sneakers to Boots is here. I want to say hello to everyone, but I got to get to my co-host, right? Because he's sitting here waiting. He's going, what the hell? E-Boogie, thank you again for the super chat. I appreciate it. What a way to kick off the show right off the bat. Generosity appreciated. I appreciate you so much for the super chat. And without further ado, oh, by the way, Mike Galizio is in the house. Good friend of mine. What's up, buddy? What's up? It's good to see you. And, okay, so here we go. Let me get some music going. We're going to give Jacob everything he wants because I know that Jacob likes when I do the intro. So this is for him. Get myself pumped up a little bit here. He reigns in Virginia, where he is El Presidente of the Virginia Jets fan club. He once ate 18 hot dogs in 30 minutes to win a contest because he is a hot dog eating, pizza eating, Italian food preparation, preparing and eating, rooting, and of course, New York Jet loving, the greatest co-host in the world. WA2K99.
Jeremy, Jacob, Rob V, John Nolte, Harlan Abraham, the cast of thousands, the OGs of the Wacky Wednesdays. It is good to talk to all of you tonight, and it is another night of rumors and speculation and uncertainty and confusion and trying to incite the most incitable fan base in all of the National Football League. But we are not those Jets fans. We know better than that. Tonight, we're going to separate the wheat from the chaff, as they say. I have no idea what it means, but it does sound like a good idea. So we're gonna talk a little fact from fiction tonight, and talk a little New York Jets football tonight. And I'm very happy to be here to do that with you tonight, Jeremy. How are you, my friend?
I am good. Look, it's normally the deadest part of the year. It's a part of the year where people go on vacation. The YouTubers stop presenting. We have this little thing where we're waiting for this deal to happen, and I feel like somebody needed to make some news, right? They can't just sit on it and let the deal happen and take their time and wait and be patient. Everybody has the fear mongering has to start, and now all of a sudden we're hearing all kinds of rumors. I'm here in Sacramento. I know plenty of San Francisco 49er fans, and they're all laughing at this. They're all saying, no way. No way. I had one Niner fan tell me Shanahan thinks Purdy is the next Tom Brady.
Oh. Well, I hope Brock Purdy's not a cheat. I mean, I think Brock Purdy would have a little more decency than Mr. Brady, but that we shall find out. I will say this. Where have these rumors been coming from? Rhetorical. Where have these rumors been coming from that there's another team that's possibly in the mix? Jeremy, who have you heard this being reported by? Because I know where I've heard it from, but I don't
even pay attention, to be honest. I just see it on Twitter.
Okay.
I see people reacting to it, and I'm just like, all of it just feels like nonsense to me.
Okay. First place I saw this, and the only place I saw this, was from Craig Carton, who is nothing more than a sports shock jock. His job is to provoke. His job is to incite. He does not break news. He does not break stories. That is not what he does. He is just a little bit of a super fan. The only team he really cares about, in my mind, are the New York Knicks. That is his that is his number one team. But he will switch back and forth in baseball. If you've been listening to him for years, like I have, going back to his days with Boomer Esiason, he was like an avid Mets fan at the beginning. Then it became Mets fans for Yankees. Now he's been back in the Yankees for the last couple of years. He will say whatever he has to do to get a reaction from the fan bases. And he is the only person I have heard talk about a third team being involved. Not Schefter, not Rappaport, not Glazer, not Pelissero, not Rossini. None of these people. It's just a shock jock. Rob V, we can't say that because we don't know ball. We tripping, brother. But no, I take absolutely no credibility in these reports. When you listen to Craig Carton report what might be going on in sports, you may as well be reading the National Enquirer. And that's all I've got to say about that tonight.
Yeah, yeah. And if there was one thing I wanted to do for our fan base, for our viewers, was just make sure that any kind of fear or paranoia or worry or concern that this deal is not going to happen. Like any kind of concern, I wanted to squash that right away. I just wanted that to immediately be squashed. I don't want these people to have the satisfaction of creating that worry within our fan base, because it is absolute nonsense. Somebody wrote something clever about, they gave different dates about when they think this deal will fall through. And someone gave some kind of reason. I forgot what it was, but it seemed reasonable enough why it wouldn't be right up to the draft, but maybe April 17th. They had some reason why they thought that would be a timeline where the Green Bay wanted to get it done. I know that neither team, like, as much as we would love it, like, and we would say, oh, fine, let it go past the first draft. Like, let it not get done by April 29th or April 27th, so we don't lose the picks this year. And as much as we say that, it really isn't a good thing for us, because then we really do fall on the side of no leverage. Like, all of our leverage, I think, is based on making it happen by the draft, because Green Bay wants their picks now. If the draft comes and goes, the issue we have is then Green Bay could start playing and messing with us a little bit by delaying it. Then they could even start thinking, you know what? Maybe if we go post June 1st, we save ourselves some money on the cap too. We take less of a dead cap hit. So I think that Green Bay really wants whatever picks they're going to get for this year, because that's the way teams are. You want to build, starting with a new quarterback, you want to start building right away. And I think that the Jets don't want to deal with, waiting till June. So I think that I really believe there's going to be enough pressure on both sides to get a deal done sometime before the draft.
I would agree with that. And I think a big deal about it, I could see a lot of people talk about Woody Johnson, working his way in and meddling. They think of Woody as a meddler. I personally, I haven't really thought of him as being that in a long time. I think he had something to do with the Tigo trade happening way back when, but I don't think since Joe Douglas has had his job that has really been an issue. But I could see the NFL getting involved with this, because they got a schedule to put together. They got prime time dates to announce. They got Thursday night games, Sunday night games, Monday night games, and they want to create the juiciest matches, not for the diehard fans like you and me and the dozens of those in the chat right now, and to the hundreds who will be watching this later. They are trying to attract the casual viewer, the one who's trying to decide watching that and watching Dateline, between watching a movie, between watching the latest trash reality show. They need those matchups, and they need them in place, I would say, by the very beginning of May. So I can't imagine that this is going to go more than another 3 weeks. I definitely think a week before the draft, this thing has to be resolved, because the league needs it to be resolved. I don't care if they have to get an arbitrator in place to settle this a little bit. If Joe Douglas and Brian Oosthuizen, or whatever the hell his name is, if the two of them can't make a trade, then you know what? Maybe we need a third party in there, somebody who's independent to get this thing done, because it's in everybody's interest. The Jets, the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, and the NFL. It's in everybody's interest to get this issue solved as soon as possible.
Right. I agree with that. There's going to be pressure, because so many things, right? I mean, because they have to do the scheduling. The Jets with Aaron Rodgers we're going to be in four, maybe five primetime games.
Yep.
And they cannot schedule us in 5 primetime games. The deal falls through, and Zach Wilson is our quarterback. That is not going to work for the NFL.
Can you imagine Sunday night Zach Wilson against Patrick Mahomes? Zach Wilson against Jalen Hurts, Zach Wilson against Justin Herbert, Zach Wilson against Josh Allen. We could keep going through the list.
Yeah.
Because it's a scary list.
Not what the doctor ordered. I think there's a chance that we might play on Thanksgiving. What do you think of that?
I think everything's on the table at this point. I think the Jets are going to be playing a lot of 4:00 games this year. It feels like for the last few years, we've really been complaining a lot about, the Jets and Giants are always playing at 1:00 Eastern, 10:00 Pacific, but they're always playing at the exact same time. But I don't think there's been a reason for one of these teams to have standalone games as of late. So, yeah, it definitely makes sense that the Giants tend to be the 1:00 team. It's kind of like traditional. The Jets get moved around all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't think the league would mind flexing us into like these random different spots, like these 4:00 games when we have to go out west. Like when we're going to Vegas, that's a 4:25 game. I don't think there's any doubt about it. That'll be a Sunday 4:25 game. So, yeah, I really felt I did a preseason predictions video just over the offseason. All I did was predictions on the offseason. And I predicted there would be a Sunday night game and a Monday night game. And that was before the Aaron Rodgers trade rumors really started to become prominent. So, yeah, even then I really sensed that it was going to happen. At this time, I thought the Jets were likely to get Derek Carr. I was leaning Carr at that point. But at this point, I think at least one Sunday night game. I think 2 Monday night games. We know we'll have a Thursday night game. And you know what? The Thanksgiving situation. Well, let's think about this. We're not playing Detroit, but we are playing Dallas this year. I'm trying to remember if that game is. Let me think. We're hosting Washington. I know that. Now I'm trying to remember Philly, Dallas. We're going to Dallas. Okay, we are definitely going to Dallas. We are going to Dallas. So if they move that game to Thanksgiving, I think it is a very realistic scenario.
Look at this. This is the love. You know what I mean? There are people that could have 500 people in their chat, right? And I could have my 40 to 60 or whatever it is. I'll tell you what, Adam. But we have the best people follow this channel. The best people. I'm totally serious. Because the selflessness, you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna give a super chat, and I'm not even to get my question in, but to yell at people to hit the like button to help Jarvie and Adam. This is what I'm talking about.
Thanks.
Like the friends that we have made doing this show, I cannot say enough about it. I mean, for John Nolte to not only to give a super chat, but to do it to benefit this channel, to benefit our show, makes every bit of this worth it. Every ounce of energy I've ever put into this channel is this kind of thing. You know what I mean? So, John, man, you know I love you, brother. So thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for promoting the channel and wanting the channel to do well. It's beyond words. It's hard to express in words how that, the feeling that gives me, like it's just incredibly humbling and flattering. And it just makes me feel like, wow, we really have met some great people on this channel. We really have good friends.
We definitely do, and we're very blessed in that way. I see Wild Wave is here. I see Michael Lando is here. I see Sneakers to Boots. I don't think I mentioned Rob Powers here. It's good to see him as well.
Yep.
He's one of those that floats a little bit under the radar, but he does bring some good stuff to the chat. So yeah, we appreciate everybody who's in here, even the ones who choose to not chat. Sometimes I can understand why. In the big chats, especially where you get the crazy going on. Now, we're not going to mention anybody by name, but when you get the 600, 700, 800 people in the chat, yeah, it can get a little bit much. But here it's a little bit more of it's a little more of a family atmosphere, a very weird family, but you sort of have that feel going on.
And we even have like the black sheep, like J. Cole, Sneakers to Boots.
But he's like outside the gate, that black sheep. He's like, we've loaned him out to another farm.
Sneakers to Boots is, by the way, an OG. When I say an OG, he goes back to the day where we were friends when on when I would chat with him on Green Bean stream when Green Bean was under 5,000 subs with Frankie from Flatbush, and we were just guys in the chat. He followed us to Frankie's channel when Frankie and I started doing the show Chaos Meets Calmness. And then, of course, he supported me when I started my channel and continued to support Frankie. So just to let you know, that's how far back Sneakers to Boots goes. He is like an OG from before I even had a channel. So,
hey, David Gerard, good to see you too. David
there's a bunch of guys like that.
We got some guys happy about the Rangers beating the Lightning, and yes, it does feel good. But I got to tell you, I mean, I did a video. I was trying to. I haven't seen who are the guys? Vervain, Mark from Asbury Park, and Stephen Engel. Those are like the three musketeers of New Jersey Devils fans that we tend to see. Mike, you are awesome.
Mike,
if I never told you that, you are awesome, Mike.
So Mike Galizia, no chat. If you have a message you want me to read, do it. I don't know if you forgot or you just showing love. Mike has been a good friend to the channel for over a year now. Lives in Florida, has a dream job, takes pictures of beautiful women. I've been blessed with Twitter messages where he sends me some of these pictures.
Really?
He is a god. Yeah. And love you, Mike. Thank you so much for the super chat. You know, pays the bills. What can I say?
No
pays the bills. Pays the StreamYard fees. Pays the freaking Canva fees. All of those.
The IRS and everybody else who we have to pay here. Elon Musk got to take care of him, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a whole video on the hockey side of things, thinking, is there a path where the Rangers could past the Devils and get home ice in the first round of the playoffs? And you know, I felt as though if Pittsburgh had beat New Jersey last night, I would have felt really good about it. But after that, it's going to be pretty difficult. Here's the key. I'm going to make this really quick. But after Saturday, each team has one more game before Saturday. Saturday is interesting because the Rangers play Columbus, the worst team in the league. The Devils play Boston, the best team in the league. If the Rangers can come out of Saturday tied with the Devils in both points and regulation wins, then I think they have a chance to do it. But that's going to take things going about as well as like the Devils have to lose this next game, and the Rangers pretty much have to win this next game too. They gotta, these next two through the weekend, it's got to go pretty much perfectly. So at this point, I'm expecting Devils to have home ice. Hey, Joe. Yeah, Joe, a whole lot of drama and no news.
Yeah. And if you're just joining, you know, the first thing I did when I started this stream, and I'm glad me and WA2K don't even plan it. I didn't even have to check with him to make sure we were on the same page. Like I just named the show what I named it. I started the show by saying, don't believe this crap. Don't let anybody put any fear into you at all. Nobody is shopping Aaron Rodgers to any other team. He's not shoppable. He's not even theirs to shop. And Adam came, you know, WA2K came right in and right away unveiled the person who's starting the rumors, who is a nobody, right? It was just a shock jock. And we have nothing to worry about. The deal's going to happen within the next few weeks. Aaron Rodgers will be a Jet. The only thing that, it's my anticipation of the deal getting done is not even so I could scream, we got Aaron Rodgers. I've already had that celebration. I want to know, my curiosity and what I want to know in my head is what we're paying. That's the big question. I just want to know, because part of me is expecting to give away one of those second round picks that we have, 42 or 43. But another part of me, because I've seen JD in action and the moves that Joe Douglas has done and the magic he's pulled, is kind of hopeful still that we're not going to give up a second round pick. And it's going to be a fourth round pick this year and like a fourth round pick next year. I still actually have that hope because it's JD. You know what I mean?
Except those previous trades that were done were nowhere near as high profile as these are. Here's the big difference, Jeremy. Before in these trades, JD's been selling. He sold off Herndon. He sold off Adams. He sold off Darnold. He sold off Cashman. He sold off Elijah Moore. All these trades were getting rid of something and getting draft capital back. This is different. Here we're acquiring the player and trading the draft capital. It's a different dynamic. Now, I got a whole lot of faith in Joe Douglas, don't get me wrong. But just because he did as well as he did before, this time I don't want to use the L word. The L word is burning me out. I gotta say it's real, but I'm burned out on it. But there is a dynamic. It's a lot of this is about perception and how do you frame it. And one of the things, there's another point I was going to get to about free agency. We'll get to that a little bit later on tonight, but it's really all about perception and it's about framing it. Can you convince the other side that they are the ones who need to make the move now? Are you able to convince them that you're the one who has the advantage, that you're the one who's in control? It's really about mind games and figuring out how to negotiate well. Who do I feel has the better chance at that? In this case, it's a tough call. I think it's a really tough call to make. And a part of that, the reason why I'm saying that, I'm looking at some of the different things this offseason. There's been several free agents who have said, man, I was so close to signing with the Jets. So close to signing with the Jets. Whether it was Calais Campbell, Fletcher Cox, maybe one or two more we don't even know about. So there's a part of me that's wondering, is there an issue here with not being able to close the deal when we have to do it? Is there something missing? Is there something we're saying or something we're not saying that isn't enough? That is the one concern that I've got, and I'm wondering if that is also working its way over into this Aaron Rodgers trade. Not that I'm afraid, like you said, not that I'm afraid the trade will not happen. I'm very confident it will. But are we going to be able to get a better return on our end? Because with free agency, I've been a little bit worried about our ability to close when it's not just all about money. Can we close the deal now for a more advantageous return than what Green Bay wants to give us?
I'll tell you what, as much as I said, I would love that if it ended up being a fourth and it didn't really cost a second, I'd build JD a statue. But I also want to say, if we have to give a second round pick and then a conditional second round pick if he plays another year, no problem. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm perfectly fine. It's there's no regret at all. I won't be upset. I mean, it doesn't matter. This gives us a legitimate opportunity to be a true Super Bowl contender and to truly have the dream of winning a Super Bowl. And what he gives, he gives. I know it's not going to be the 13th pick. I'm about 95% sure. So if it's a second round pick, it's a second round pick, and that's why we have two of them. And then who knows what's going to happen with that first pick? Maybe we go back some spots, recoup a third rounder, and then all we really lost was Elijah Moore.
I even see some crazy trades where this one Packers fan actually had as part of the trade, we would give up 13, but they would give us 15 along with Rodgers. And now we would give up another second and maybe another third. That could be a second on top of that. But the idea of going down two spots in the first round, I thought that was a little bit of an interesting wrinkle. Hadn't heard that. Not that I think that's realistic, but it is an interesting idea.
Yeah, I've seen possibilities of Corey Davis, 13-15 swap, 42-45 swap.
Yep.
I could live with all of that because the way this draft falls, I don't care 42-45 that much because the sweet spot is anywhere from 25 to 50 anyway, and 15 to 13 don't care that much because if it's not Broderick Jones, it could be Anton Harrison. It could be Darnell White. It could be whoever JD likes, or it could be trading back, to get some more capital to get one of those guys anyway. I'm not sweating it. But whatever it is, if it was going to be 2 first-round picks or something crazy when it initially started, that was going to annoy me and upset me. Any combination of like a second-round pick, Corey Davis, some kind of conditional pick next year, I don't give a crap. Just work out the money part. Work out the contract part that if he leaves after a year, we're not screwed for 3 years, financially. But all I know is we get the opportunity to play and be a competitor, compete for a Super Bowl. And, that's worth something. It's okay to give something up for an opportunity to compete for a Super Bowl. Raw Power comes in. I listen hoping you go down the food talk hall, laughing out loud. Well, if you go to Cravat Attack, you could watch me and my brothers do nothing but talk about food. So, we'll get there eventually. Something's going to happen when we talk about food. But
did I mention in 48 hours from now I'll be eating the Farah pizza?
Oh, you go to North Carolina?
Yeah, for Easter weekend. Yeah, I'll be down there.
You should get a slice of the square if you haven't had it. It's really amazing.
Okay.
Get a square slice. It's amazing. It's fantastic.
Those square slices of pizza can be very hit or miss. A good one is great. A bad one is
I typically don't. I'm not a square person. I was eating this square slice and couldn't decide whether or not it might be as good as L&B.
Wow.
It's special.
That's bold talk right there. Okay.
Thank you so much for the super chat, Raw, though. We appreciate it. Raw Power, you're the man. You're an awesome guy. Joe coming in and saying you sent a message earlier. Okay. Did you want me to highlight?
Was that the blank one?
Was it a blank one? I don't know. But thanks for the super chat, Joe. You're the man. I'm going to highlight anything you say. He did say later on, he goes to say, I would just hold off, to be honest, wait after the draft to continue the build the team in the draft. Yeah, I mean, look, it's not going to be completely, it might not be in the best faith to refuse to trade before the draft. And Green Bay might hold Rodgers till freaking August if we do that shit. So
I wouldn't even be worried if they did. As long as he's there for training camp, fine with me.
Yeah,
I am not worried about Aaron Rodgers developing chemistry. It will be fine. That is not my concern. By the way, Jim Dandy's living his best life. He's listening to you and me and eating a grilled ribeye steak. Man, Jim, you got it pretty good, brother.
I love it.
Look at that.
In the meantime, let's introduce a regular on the show.
That narrowed it down quickly.
Who has made my show better since the first time he ever appeared. Has enriched my channel, so he has my forever gratitude and my friendship. Please welcome Tigo. What's going on, brother?
Man, just when I thought it'd be a very agreeable show tonight, Tigo shows up.
Hey, we can still be agreeable. Just don't say unagreeable things.
Well,
that's on you.
I disagree with that.
Well, let's start with the title of the show. Tigo, are you worried that Green Bay is shopping Aaron Rodgers to the San Francisco 49ers?
They should. It is in Green Bay's best interest to get 31 teams interested in Aaron Rodgers. It's in their best interest.
Sure.
If they can get everyone interested in Aaron Rodgers, then you're going to get a bidding war, and then maybe they get that first-round pick that they want. The problem is, one, there's 10 teams that have franchise quarterbacks, but two, the other 20 teams are in the same boat. Not every owner wants to just drop $110 million over the next 2 years. Not every owner has that money in escrow. That they can just put into escrow. They don't have that much time. They have till September to get $110 million to put into escrow. That's not a lot of time. Well, they only have to put 75%. So it's one of those things that's just yeah, Green Bay should be doing everything in their power to get another team interested. Now, the part I'm not worried about is Aaron Rodgers has to also want to go there.
Exactly.
He doesn't want to go there. He's already come out and said that he wants to be a Jet. So why am I going to be worried? Let them talk to whoever they want to talk to. Go talk to XFL teams, NFL teams, AFL teams, CFL teams. I don't care. Nobody. We were talking Rangers earlier.
Yeah,
go Leafs go.
John, the NHL logo right around here. That's kind of a giveaway. See how that works?
Just to clear some.
Jets Pizza is like a national chain. I mean, Jets is like the Pizza Hut of square pizzas, is what it is.
Yeah, just to clarify, the reason I didn't refer to it as Sicilian is because I don't consider L&B square Sicilian. I mean, even though technically it might be, it's because it's so unique and different than the typical Sicilian slice that you get in New York. And the slice that I'm talking about at the Farah Pizza Tavern, that when I tell Adam to get a square slice, is kind of like in the L&B category. It's nothing like a Sicilian slice in Brooklyn. It's very unique and it's its own thing, just like it is when you go to DeFara in Brooklyn. people don't really consider it a traditional square slice. It's very different.
And Tigo, the way people are talking about your jersey, I guess my trivia question tonight should have been, what team is Tigo wearing if the chat would have gotten it wrong?
Oh
my gosh.
You wouldn't get it. Like, if you don't see the logo, you wouldn't guess it. Like, if you don't know the double stripes here, like that differentiate the Lightning and the Leafs, I'm from Florida. Everything, and it's the same blue, like down to the hex color code.
It's very close.
No, it's the same.
It is the exact same
blue.
hex, really? Wow.
Yeah, literally the same blue. So the only thing that differentiates it is the Leafs have double stripes on the sleeve, and obviously in the massive Leaf logo in the front, while the Lightning have a solid, like, this is white, and they have a lightning bolt.
The jersey knowledge you never knew you needed.
Yeah, that's what it's called, by the way. It's called the Grandma Slice. Grandma Square. That's what it's called. That's what it is. So that's what DeFarrett calls it. It's a Grandma Slice. Anyway, it's wonderful. I promise.
Smallhead Jet Petro. We got another Devils fan in the mix here. I thought there were only 3 of them that hung around, but number 4 just joined. Jets Mess Samuel is the famous chair in North Carolina. If so, can you do some videos sitting in it this weekend? The wicker chair is right here in my apartment in the next room over. The problem is it's not very comfortable to sit in for 2 hours.
Right. You can't do it. You can't do a 2-hour show in it. You can only do.
I did 5 hours one night, and oh my gosh, I
remember that stream. God.
It was unforgettable. It was Mother's Day. It was Mother's Day like a year ago. I will never forget it as long as I live. And now I could turn the camera off. I could do a little spot over in the wicker chair for a little while if you all wanted that. But you know what? For a certain number of super chats, I'll go over to the wicker chair. How about we do that?
Anytime you want, that could be a special segment. Like Adam, like we're gonna say WA2K in the wicker chair, and you pull it over and you step into the wicker chair and maybe give like a take or something, like your take of the week.
Oh, okay. I'll have to have something prepared then. Okay.
Okay.
Oh boy, I know we got a little bit, but we could do something like we get to I don't know, 75 or something like that. Then I'll do the rest of the show in the wicker chair. I can do that.
Jets Mess, thank you so much for the super chat. Also, thank you for being a snacker. You're the OG original snacker. You're the reason I named my membership channel The Snackers, because it is literally Jets Mess and Eminon are the two that really started the whole thing way back when. And look how big it's become. Thank you for the support, Jets Mess. Cannot thank you enough. You are the man. Are you a Leaf fan?
Yes, sir. Go Leafs, go. Hence the Matthews jersey. And you can tell I've been a Leafs fan for a long time. I got this the year he was drafted. This doesn't have the A. No A.
Oh.
He got that real quick. I'm still well, not really when you take into consideration that he
it's amazing. When I see people around here where I live in Virginia walking around with, a hat or a shirt, and it's like they got an old Chicago Bulls hat on, and you could tell it's 80s Bulls, like before they really started winning everything. They got some of the older stuff on, or I'll see a Florida Marlins hat. I've seen an old school Florida Marlins hat. I want to walk right up to him and I say, "Can you name 3 current Marlins for me, please?" They wouldn't have a freaking clue. I mean, I just have never understood the idea of wearing a jersey or wearing a hat because of the look or the color scheme. I feel like I'm cheating on my teams if I wear a logo of another team that is not my own.
Yeah, but you also have to remember some people don't have teams.
God bless them, but hey, that works for them. Great. But
For
when
the
you're wearing
longest
that
time-
team, it makes you feel the perception is that's who you're representing. So, I mean, I don't know.
See, but that's how you take it. Because I have a buddy that's like that. He has a hat of every single NBA team because he doesn't care about pro basketball. He's a college basketball guy, cares about the tournament, he cares about his school. He could not give a rat's ass about pro sports. And he has 2 or 3 hats of every single NBA team based purely on the aesthetic. So one day he'll be in a Golden State hat, and the next day he'll be in a Milwaukee hat, and the next day he'll be in a Heat hat. And I'm just like, you are an enigma, my good sir. That's just how it is.
I mean, does he bounce back and forth between relationships, jobs? I mean, does he use the same philosophy?
Again, if you don't care, what does it matter? If you don't care, what does it matter? You see that with football fans in England. they're not necessarily a fan of one specific team. And I'm not talking about like football isn't like soccer football. I mean like American football when they go over. I know a buddy who lives in Norfolk and he goes to London every year for the games. And he's got like 11 or 12 different jerseys from 11 or 12 different teams that go out there. And he just picks. He told me that at the beginning, he used to pick teams based on whose mascot would literally beat the other mascot in a fight. So like if it was like the Jaguars versus the Dolphins, he'd be like, the Jags are going to F up. So he's got a Jags jersey. And that's what like he would do. And it's just like, and he's got like 11 or 12 of them at home. Now that he's moved to the States, he's kind of realized that like we take it seriously here. And so now he's starting to become a fan of the Steelers. But yeah, like that's how like a lot of people just don't have that dedication to sports teams. Like it's the same thing with like hockey. The Leafs are my main team. I love the Maple Leafs. But I also root for the Rangers. I root for the Panthers. Like as like there's a hierarchy, and I have a Panthers jersey. I have a Rangers jersey. But if we're ever playing, like the Leafs are my one true, hockey love.
Interesting. Venison is deer. I saw that and I had to answer it. Yes, I've had it.
Yep.
I know somebody who upstate New York shot a deer or whatever. He knew how to do everything, and he gave it to me and my wife some to take home. Very similar to veal. Had a veal-like quality to it.
I was watching. You know what? I actually watched for the first time last night.
Radigan. Radigan is in the house. What's up, brother?
But speaking of butchering, I actually finally watched for the first time yesterday because it was on Peacock, Gangs of New York. I had never had a chance to watch the whole movie before. And now all I could think of about is like Bill the Butcher. Oh my God, one of the best characters I've ever seen in a movie. Say this, chop or shake, and just showing the different parts of like where to make the cut on the pig. And now that's all I can think of now that we're talking about venison, just like the precision of those cuts. So that's exactly what you had me thinking about was Bill the Butcher.
It was hard for me to eat it. I'm not adventurous, which is weird because we eat cow, right? And if you look at a cow in real life, is it any different than eating like a deer? Why would it be different? Because it's just different to what you grew up in, how you were raised, and it felt different and it felt weird. But we made them into cutlets, and you know what? At the end of the day, they were cutlets. Like there was nothing bad about it.
The fact that you kind of have cows kind of in a controlled area, whereas deer are kind of like out there roaming around. It's like a little bit more of an event. I heard like one vegetarian. I actually got a vegan who I'm starting to train at work. Okay, we are different in every single way. It's actually quite hysterical. Whatever I am, she is the opposite. And she kind of like gave me the vibe. It's like, I don't think we were meant to eat cows. And I'm like, well, then they should have been harder to catch. Just my thought.
They were, right? Like the cows that we have now to what they had before. Like we have domesticated the crap out of them, right? Like that's like the whole thing. The same thing with deer. Deer have become incredibly domesticated. Like one of my favorite, like one of the things that like I've gone hunting before, and it's just like it's not that it's easy, but it is kind of easy. But there are still deer that are out there that are like legitimately like the apex. They're called apex deer, where like they don't F around with humans. They're not domesticated. Not only will they shoot back if they had hands, like they don't mess around, and it's one of the coolest things for you to be able to go out and hunt is an apex deer. They have them on an island in Hawaii. They outnumber the population in that island. Like if you go, they'll pay you to hunt the deer. I want to do it so bad.
Denver Bronco fan, Spence GC. What's up, my brother? He found our channel once when me and my brother were doing a watch party, reaction party, and Denver was in the game. He says, dude, the Jets Pack Trade is going to become a new show on Netflix, only in New York. Let me tell you something. It wouldn't shock me. I think it's a good idea. I shouldn't say it out loud. If one day in the future, there's like a movie.
It'll be a 30
and the movie is based on this trade and everything that went on behind the scenes. Kind of like I just watched a show, a movie called Tetris. About the game Tetris. They did a movie on how Tetris came to be and how Nintendo got Tetris and everything. And it's kind of like that. It's like when it's kind of like later on in the future when you get like the real story of something, how something happened, and there's so much we don't know, right? Like the negotiations, what they're really fighting over, like how the rumors get started. Like that could be a really good movie, I think. I think it really would be fascinating if you ever got somebody to really talk about exactly really the truth. If you can, do a real, nonfiction kind of based on a true story, what really happened and what's happening right now, in the future, looking back in retrospect.
One day there will be a premium article written about this whole thing. The only question is, where's it going to appear first? ESPN Plus or The Athletic? It's going to appear on one of the outlets. The only question is which one first.
Right.
It's gonna be everything. There'll be podcasts, there'll be movies, there'll be articles, there'll probably be a book about the season. There's gonna be a book written just about this Jets season, just like Steve Serby wrote one about the Brett Favre year. Like there was one written about Bill Parcells last year. It's not very often that you see a book nowadays written about a single NFL season, but this one. There is so much storyline, so much drama, and just so much to get out of it. Yeah, there has to be a book written about the whole thing when it's all over.
Yeah. And it's funny, I saw a Packers fan going nuts saying, this is the Jets' fault. They're the ones holding up this deal. And I smiled to myself and I said, yeah, probably so.
I hope so.
What do you mean? How are we the one that's holding it up? We told you, here's what we're willing to pay. Say yes to it. Done.
Right.
Like, there's no. How are the Jets holding it up? We told you what we're willing to pay.
No, I just
accept
mean
the
that
deal or pay Aaron Rodgers $60 million.
Yeah, I guess it goes both. It goes both ways. I'm just thinking that it's more like Green Bay is probably willing to do it for something that we would all be fine with, and that JD is just doing what JD does, and he's just holding out, and he's just a hardcore negotiator, And look, I love it. I love every second of it because I trust. That's what I trust with JD. Whatever the deal ends up being, I know that it wasn't based on jumpy emotion, that JD made a stupid mistake, or I know that he held really strong and he got the best deal he possibly could.
I think, honestly, the conversation that happened is Joe Douglas went to Goody and said, here's the offer. Here's what we're willing to pay. It's fair. It makes sense. This deal goes up until a week before the draft. If you wait until the week of the draft, here's the new deal. And if you wait until after the draft, here's the new deal. Accept whichever deal you want, and then we're done. And then, like, the longer it goes on, the value just keeps going down because it's just like, look, you could have had 2 seconds and a conditional second, obviously, on the second one that turns into a first. You didn't want to do that. Now you're going to get a second and a third. Oh, you didn't want to do that. Now you're going to get a third and a fourth. Like, it's one of those things where it's just like, the longer you wait, the more, it's going to look bad for you guys. Like, we know he's going to be a Jet eventually. You guys aren't going to pay him $60 million.
It's like the movie Taken 2, if you've ever seen the movie, where he's pretending to be the cop, and he's like, the price just went up 15%. And the guy goes, are you crazy? He goes, I'm not crazy. And the price just went up to 20%. You're asking if I'm crazy.
Oh.
And then
before he ambushes the whole room. I remember that scene. I remember that scene.
Because this coffee tastes like shit. The price just went up to 25%. Like, that's what JD
is doing. I told you I would find you.
JD is doing that.
We spoke on the phone 2 days ago.
You talked to San Francisco? The price just went up. Now you're getting a 50.
I don't know who has the most. Oh my God! I just thought of it. Put Michael Clemens on the phone and have him do all the negotiations. JD tells him what to say and just do it in Michael Clemens' voice. We will get Aaron Rodgers for a freaking 7th round pick. Just watch.
Don't have a 7th for the next 2 years.
Oh, I love it. Dude, don't let my excitement get in the way. Facts get in the way of my excitement. Thank you.
Well, Clemens is the guy that, like when I say, I don't like this guy's face, throw him in the fucking bathroom. Michael Clemens comes, picks the guy up, and throws him in the bathroom.
That 4th just became a 5th round pick. The 5th became a 6th. The 6th became a 7th.
That's awesome.
The 7th became a conditional 7th.
My name is Joe Douglas. I have skills.
A very particular set of skills. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let Aaron go now, that will be the end of it. We will not come after you. We will not pursue you.
It's
But
like,
if
wait.
you don't,
Wait, you said you'd throw in Corey Davis. I lied. He throws the electricity switch.
I meant Jordan Whitehead.
Y'all keep joking about Jordan Whitehead. The dude's gonna be on this roster and starting next year, and people aren't ready for it.
It sounded very much to me that Whitehead is on our roster next year.
Yeah.
Robert Saleh did not even flinch. He said,
He's not going to.
But he was like, so it's not that he just said, yeah, I expect him to be on the roster. He said, I'm really excited about Whitehead, second year in the system. Like, he literally even dug it. You know, it's like he put another foot into the circle when he said that, when he was like second year in the system. Like he was like, in a sense, he was like defending it and saying, we expect him to be better. You know, and
it makes too much sense to keep him on the team. There isn't any good safety option at the value or the money that we really want. The guy's going into his second year, which makes a ton of sense. And like, the guy's still young. That's the real thing. Now, I'm not a big fan of him at that contract. I think that we should be able to, I think you extend him and Clark at the same time and give them similar cap hits at around $6 to $7 million.
Balance the two out.
Like, there you go.
But aren't Clark and Whitehead, and you tell me, aren't Clark and Whitehead have somewhat similar skill sets? I mean, aren't they a little bit redundant?
Clark plays
depends
everywhere.
on what you define as redundant.
But Clark,
right?
maybe they have similar skill sets, but Clark does his best work in the box.
Right,
like,
he does his
that's
best
why
work in
we
the box, but he played in every position. I mean, he played,
Right.
he covered slots, he played free safety, he even lined up on the edge a couple of times.
It's one of those things where like Whitehead did the same.
Exactly.
Like, that's the thing that we have to remember is like, we may not like Whitehead or whatever, but like Whitehead played a ton of reps last year, not just in the box, but at free safety. Like, the thing that people don't understand is last year, if we look at all of his snaps, he played, I can pull it up right now. Give me 2 seconds. He played 1,129 snaps. Of those 1,129 snaps, you know how many of them were in the box or in on the D line or at slot or at something like that? Less than half. He played most of his time in free safety as a free safety.
Who's this?
Jordan Whitehead.
Oh,
people
I didn't even realize that.
like to pigeonhole him as a box safety, and I get why. His skill set definitely makes sense to be there. But in coverage last year, he wasn't that bad. LaMarcus Joyner played a ton in the box. They rotated their safeties around, and that's why Chuck Clark makes a ton of sense as a get, because Chuck Clark played his snaps almost 50-50 in the box, on the D-line, in slot corner, or as a free safety. And that gives you the ability with Jordan Whitehead and Chuck Clark to play the safeties literally as not like, here's our free safety or single high guy, and here's our box guy. You can play guys too high and then have one of them right before the snap sprint down, and you're never going to know which one it's going to be, because theoretically they can both play in the box. And it gives you a ton of flexibility by being able to do that. And as long as Sauce and DJ Reed are on the outside, I don't care who our safeties are.
I'm not going to kill Whitehead's coverage too much. I think it was the tackling. That was his most egregious part of his play was his tackling technique. And I don't see how that gets better with another year in the system. You might be able to learn coverages better, stuff like that. But I mean, unless you actually set out to tackle better, you're not going to do that just because you have a second year with Robert Saleh.
But I don't think of it as lack of tackle ability. I think of it as he was trying too hard to make the big hits.
Yes.
I'm never going to accuse him of not caring. No, I wouldn't do that.
Like, it's one of those things where he doesn't wrap up. That's the problem. It's a failure to wrap up. And when you look at Jordan Whitehead, it's not like he didn't have this tackling issue in Tampa. It's when you play in front of guys like Quan and Quincy and they're dropping the big hits. You try to drop the big hit, and then you remember that you're 5'10", 200. And you probably probably shouldn't be throwing around your body like that, especially against tight ends and running backs who are, 6 foot 220. Like it just doesn't make sense. So it's one of those things where like he's gonna be on this team. Deal with it. That being said, like he's not that bad of an option.
Sorry,
Like,
Rob V.
Yeah.
Rob V does not own a Jordan Whitehead jersey. I'm pretty confident in saying that.
Again, it was some missed tackles. Outside of that, like Tigo was saying, his coverage wasn't bad. It's coachable. It is coachable. Like they could look at the replays. They're in the tape room now. They probably are in the film rooms. Like coming into the year, he's a young guy. They're going to coach him. They're going to say, "Look, in those situations, what'd you do wrong? You need to wrap him up." And if not, he's going to get himself benched or something, or he's going to screw up his next contract because, then he's going to hurt himself. So, but I just think it's too soon for us to write him off. I mean, I think there's a possibility that Whitehead will put in a very good year.
I mean, I've heard of crazier ideas. I've heard, I think we come up with crazier ideas for players who could have bounce back seasons, who could step their games up. Yeah. It's funny, when we first got Whitehead, I think we were laughing about what a steal of a contract it looked like. Like we were paying, $7-8 million a year, I think initially for 2 years is what it was going to look like on the average hit. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, now we're paying him too much money. It's amazing how that has changed so quickly.
A good contract turns into a bad one after 1 year. And it's one of those things that when you're tight it up against the cap and you're going for it and you're running after, what is that noise?
What?
Oh, nothing. I don't know. It's one of those things where, like I said, it's like when that contract happens, you look at it and you go, okay, it makes a ton of sense, but $10 million for a safety this year, who isn't a $10 million safety, like we should have taken the $10 million hit last year. That's the reality of it. That's just how it works. But we didn't. We took a $5 million cap hit last year on him.
I agree. I agree. I was thinking what Hennessy just put in the chat. I was going to say the whole time. I think the worst contract on our team is Laken Tomlinson.
No. How do you look at the CJ Mosley contract with your eyes and say that?
Yeah, I mean the CJ, but at least CJ Mosley's a good player.
Well, so is Laken Tomlinson. Like one down year isn't enough to like just cast the guy aside. He was playing with an average center, playing with a tackle that had no arms, and lost his family in a new city. Like, didn't his dad die? Like, I'm not trying to sit here and come up with.
No, you're right. No, I said that he had a very personal and real loss.
Yeah, like he went through it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where I'm more willing to forgive the fact that like the guy was legitimately going through some of the most difficult things he could possibly go through, and to even with that, to say, you know what, he came out and he performed, like admirably compared to the rest of the O-line. Like the only player that was playing well was Elijah Vera Tucker. Like really, that was it. The whole O-line struggled. Why do you think that we got a new O-line coach? These guys should be playing better.
Yeah, hey, let's think about it. Tomlinson went from Trent Williams on his left side to the no-shoulder Dwayne Brown the next year. It's a little bit of a downgrade. So, yeah, he had an anemic year. Run blocking, pass blocking. The only thing he did well was play every game. Didn't play well, but at least he didn't get hurt, and that's more than I could say about almost anybody else on this offensive line, not named Connor McGovern, who, by the way, still doesn't have a contract, amazingly enough. It's amazing. Nobody wants Connor McGovern on their team.
I don't think that's it.
Not the one that went from Dallas to Buffalo before I see that in the comments. All right.
No, I don't even think that's it. I think it's this draft. Because no centers are signing with new teams. Not one. Ben Jones is still a free agent. Connor McGovern is still a free agent. Unless you were re-signing with your existing team, no centers are going to new teams. Why wouldn't the Giants be interested in Connor McGovern? Why wouldn't the Texans be interested in Connor McGovern and or Ben Jones? Well, it's because they have second-round picks that they look at and late first-round picks that they look at where, well, the Giants can get John Michael Schmitz at 25. The Texans might be able to get Joe Tippmann, Luke Whippler, and or John Michael Schmitz if the Giants or the Jags pass up. The Jags had the second worst center play in all of football last year. Why aren't they interested in a guy like Connor McGovern? Again, because of the draft.
They're all looking at these guys.
Yeah, this draft is so chock full of center talent going into day 3. Like, now, I don't agree with this take, but there are a lot of people that think that there are day 3 centers that you can go get and start. Guys like Jarrett Patterson, Stromberg, all of those things are guys that a lot of people think, you know what, they can come into an NFL system and they can probably start and be league average year 1. Now, I don't agree. That being said, that's out there. So why are you going to give big money? And then, like, what happens if you're the Texans? You give Connor McGovern $13 million a year for the next 3 years. And at 34, John Michael Schmitz. Of course you want a JMS.
Yeah. It's amazing how these guys who we were talking about months ago are suddenly flying up the draft boards. JMS, Mozzie Smith, there's other guys, but all these guys who we thought maybe we could get this guy late in the second round, maybe even in the third round, back when we had a third round pick. It's amazing. All of a sudden now they're being projected as bottom of the first round, top of the second round guys.
Keanu Becton.
Keanu Becton's another one. Yeah.
Flying up the boards. He was way back. He was in nowhere's land 2 months ago. And now all of a sudden he's flying up the board.
I'm seeing like some Tyree Smiths from like a year ago. Like when we did that first mock draft in December, and Green Bay said, WA2K99, you get this draft pick, take anybody you want. I'm like, I'll take this Tyree Smith guy. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, he's like a first round pick and becomes like an absolute linchpin at offensive line for Dallas. Unbelievable. We're seeing the same sort of stories happening right now.
It's the same reason why I look at a lot of not a ton of the wide receivers have gone, because they're looking at this draft and they're like, maybe we can get one of these guys in the draft that are going to be better than paying one of these guys $7 to $9 million. It just doesn't financially make any sense for the teams. It's another reason I look at it is the tackles. This tackle class is pretty deep. When you really look at it, there's a lot of guys that you might fall in love with. And so it explains why guys, and remember, players don't want to go to teams where they're going to end up being like backups or anything. They want to start. So if we look at the tackle position, while a bunch of these guys signed, Taylor Lewan is still out there. He's probably retiring, but George Fant is still out there. Isaiah Wynn is still out there. Hubbard is still out there. Jawan James is still out there. Little is still out there. There's a bunch of guys that are guys that can start and play relatively well for teams, and they just don't have contracts at all. What's his name from Cleveland, Cincinnati? Requested a trade.
Jonah Williams.
Yeah. No one's made a call. Why would you? Wait. There's no point. Because what happens if Broderick Jones is there at 13?
You're getting him for the cost of a draft pick. You're not giving up any draft capital to get him.
And
he's going to want stuff for Jonah Williams.
You got him on the cheap.
Yeah, and you control him for 5 years. You're not paying him jack squat. You've got him for 5 years.
Well said.
What happens if what happens you trade out of 13, take JMS in the first, blah, 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 blah. And at the second, DeJuan Jones is sitting there. And you just traded your second for Jonah Williams. I'll take DeJuan Jones. DeJuan Jones is in higher upside right now than Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams is atrocious. And the Bengals aren't going to give him up for nothing. So, and you got to pay him after this year. Have DeJuan Jones for 4 years. That's just a better option. Makes a ton of sense.
I mean, and we don't know. None of us know for certain that DeJuan Jones might not end up being the best tackle coming out this year. I mean, it happens every year that it's some guy in the second round. It could be Cody Mack. You don't know who's going to end up being the guy. I mean, we only know, we can only go by likelihood, best attributes. But in reality, all the experts, all the rankings, year after year, we're all wrong in different positions, right? I mean, it happens every year. Guys in third, fourth round become stars. I mean, what about that guy? What was the Kansas City guard that was drafted in the 6th or 7th round?
Trey Smith?
Trey Smith, yeah.
So but he should never fallen that far.
No, I shouldn't have.
He fell that
shouldn't
far
have
because he had blood clots.
Yeah,
That's one of the things that I absolutely like. I look at and I go, that's one of the biggest steals of all time, like ever.
When was the last time you saw an interior offensive line in football that was that good? Thuney, Humphrey, and Smith. You can't have a better interior offensive line than that. You just can't. My gosh.
But a great example, like you make a great point in this, Jeremy. Last year, according to, again, take this with a grain of salt, according to PFF, of all of the linemen, this is tackle, guards, and centers taken last year. Do you know who graded out as the best offensive lineman who played at least 50% of the snaps?
Now, is this by PFF standards?
Yes.
Okay, this is from the same publication that rated Greg Van Roten better than Elijah Vera Tucker 2 years ago. So let's take this with a grain of salt. But all right,
I said that from the top. That was the first thing I said.
But still,
it's still a measuring tool that matters. Jamari Salyer, the tackle for the Chargers. He was
great. I wasn't sure what team he was on.
He was on the Chargers. No, he was great last year for them because they lost both of their guys.
Yep.
6th round pick.
There you go.
It was a 6th round pick. Next guy up, Bernard Raymond. I loved me some Bernard Raymond. I wanted Bernard Raymond in the 2nd so badly. Goes to the Colts in the 3rd, according to PFF, the 2nd best tackle or 2nd best offensive lineman who played at least 50% of the snaps. And then it goes Braxton Jones, Abraham, the first guy who's in the 1st round, and he had no business being in the 1st round, but is a 1st round pick, was Cole Strange at number 5. Then it goes Icky, then Tyler Smith, then Cross, and then the bottom 2 were Evan Neal and Kenyon Green.
Right, they had the worst
1st round picks.
Amazing.
Yeah, so you just don't know, and I mean, DeWand, it's hard to imagine he's not going to be effective in the running game. I think Anton Harrison might be the biggest sleeper. He might be the guy that's the best of all of them, or it could be Darnell White. I mean, look, these guys all potentially could end up being that tackle that you wish you picked. They all have they all could be. Now, in all likelihood, that's what those rankings are. The ones who are the most likely to be the best ones. Like, I think
of the tackles in this class, the ones that you're going to look back at and you're going to be like, how did these guys not go 1 and 2 as the tackles is going to be Anton Harrison and Broderick Jones. If Broderick Jones hits his ceiling, it's best tackle in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like he is gold jacket, first ballot. Like that's his upside. His floor is CFL player, 2nd string CFL player. He just doesn't have experience. That's what he needs. He just needs reps,
Right.
And I look at Anton Harrison, man, he's silky smooth, man. Silky smooth. Like when he's moving around and doing all that stuff, it's like he's a hot knife through butter the way that he moves. I love it. If he can put on 20 pounds and like someone, like his girlfriend needs to cheat on him so that he plays with a little bit of a mean streak, woo! Watch out, because Anton Harrison is one of those guys where like those are the guys I'm really zeroing in on for 13. If you're not trading out of 13, Broderick Jones or Anton Harrison, I think needs to be.
Just a quick shout out to Raw Power who said good night. Thanks for joining us, man. Have a good rest of your night.
Yeah, have a good night, Raw. Anton Harrison definitely is guy that gets me excited. Like he look, there's a lot of tackles that I like. There's a bunch of tackles we could end up with, and I have a lot of hope. Especially because we might end up not necessarily needing to start the tackle that we select. Because if Becton looks amazing and is healthy, with Dwayne Brown, and if Max Mitchell's back at full, like it could end up that we don't really need. It's not a must that whoever we draft even have to be a starter. So,
but by the way, I got to address NY Jets superfans saying that we're underestimating Peter Skoronski. It's not that we're underestimating Peter Skoronski at all. I mean, Tigo has said himself that is his sprint to the podium guy at 13.
We love him. We love
Peter. I just don't think Joe Douglas will.
We're just trying to give some love to some guys who maybe we're not thinking of in that top 2 or 3 who also could emerge as the best tackle. Because Skoronski is one of those names that everybody knows, everybody acknowledges. But we're just saying the offensive tackle class is more than just 3 guys. That's all we're trying to say.
I also don't think that Joe Douglas is going to look at Peter Skoronski and say, that's a tackle on my team.
Right.
I love Peter Skoronski. Don't get me wrong. And the only reason I've moved off of the pick there is one, he's not going to be there at 13, but
Mhm.
two is because I think he's a guard. I really do think at the next level, he's a guard. Now, at guard, he is an all-pro gold jacket. All of the things I said about Broderick Jones, that's what Peter Skoronski absolutely can be. Now, do I think he can play tackle at the next level? Absolutely. Do I think he's going to be as good at tackle as he's going to be at guard? No. So for his career, I would prefer him to go to a play like I would love for him to go to the Washington Commanders because they'll play him at guard. If Peter Skoronski fell that far, and he's not going to, but they'll play him at guard, and he'll be the best offensive lineman on that team, probably. I don't know who's on that O line to be able to say that with confidence.
I think he might just be a little too much like AVT, and that's as great as that is. It's not our specific need right now, right? I mean, it's just not our specific need. But if we take him, I'm fine with that. I really am. I'm really fine with it if we take him, and we just go into camp and wherever he's the best fit. Like if he starts, if he doesn't start, like you know what I mean. Like there's no part of me that would be upset to have him as a New York Jet.
Nope.
I mean,
I'd buy a Peter Skoronski jersey immediately.
Yeah, he's going
That'd be a good-looking name to have. That's a good name to have on a jersey, like Skoronski. That sounds like somebody who should be on the Packers or something like that. And speaking of which, we got a Packers fan who's just joined us, and he has a good question. Would the Jets be willing to trade the 13th for the Packers 15th in a deal to get Rodgers? We actually did talk about this a little bit earlier on tonight, that it has been a rumor. Now, of course, it has to be a little bit more detailed than that. Am I open to the idea? Yes, I personally am. Tigo, I think you might have an opinion on this.
Well, I'll tell you why Tigo is against it. Because New England needs a tackle, and it puts us behind New England.
New England's right behind us. That's that would be a scary point.
Yep. Because now you're looking at like does the rest of the trade still stay the same? Is that a second? So now the trade becomes essentially, because that pick swap is the same amount of points as a 4th round pick. So now it's a second, a 4th, and because you're swapping the 1st round picks, and now we have to pick behind New England, who has a similar a high 4th round pick. So now I'm good. I'm not moving behind New England. It shouldn't cost a 1st round pick to go get Aaron Rodgers for the contract that he has. It shouldn't even cost a pick swap. It should cost a 2nd and like a conditional 3rd in year 2. And I'm with Joe Douglas. I'm not making this trade without pick protection for 2025 if he doesn't play in 2024.
I'm thinking maybe this is what I'm thinking might be in addition to that. I'm honestly thinking I'm feeling definitely 2nd round pick this year goes to Green Bay. Like that feels very, very likely and very believable. 2nd round pick goes to Green Bay this year. Next year, conditional pick that could be a 3rd, 4th, or even a 2nd. Based on everything going right, but some kind of conditional pick. I can see Corey Davis being part of the deal as well.
And Wild Wave is right because of the comp picks. There were so many 3rd round comp picks. Yes, technically, he's right. It's not a 4th; it's a 3rd this year. It's the 100th pick is worth 100 points in the point system and in the point scale, and the 100th pick this year is in the 3rd. So again, now it makes my point even better. Like, why are we sending a 3rd round pick and 2 seconds, essentially, and going behind New England, who's, if the tackles are there, like if Broderick Jones is there at 14, they're taking Broderick Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Without question. Question.
Easily. Their biggest concern, the biggest problem that they had last year was blocking, was the pass protection. They couldn't keep their average quarterback standing. They don't need these crazy wide receivers or anything like that.
I wouldn't even be shocked if New England trades up and tries to jump above us.
Yeah. Makes sense. No, they don't do that. When was the last time Bill Belichick traded up?
He doesn't normally do it.
Normally they don't have to, but I think in this type of a situation, I mean, they have a lot of draft picks. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They have 11 draft picks, guys.
They're not going to do it. They're going to take 11 players.
They're going to move up.
Nope.
We're going to have, instead of the Idzik 12, we're going to have the Belichick 11.
Yeah, I think he's going to take 11 guys.
I
don't
find
think
that one a little hard to. We're not going to do like a Manish meta
Ironically-
bet on this, but
Ironically, if Broderick Jones is gone, expect a trade out and 13 or 14 guys picked this year. Like, they need help everywhere. Like, I
now
don't know.
granted, a
Somebody
lot
said
of
in the
these.
chat, like,
Sorry.
they need everything. Hennessy Heisman said it. New England needs everything. And this draft is really deep. They're going to take all 11 players.
The one thing with this is about half the picks are in the 6th and 7th round. I mean, they have 6 picks after 183. So, yeah. So a lot of these are pretty deep. And when you have those picks a lot of time, you might switch one out and trade it for one down the road or something like that. But you're not going to really use it to trade up or trade down in that particular draft.
John Nolte comes in again.
Look at you, John.
Second time tonight he's done it. Does a super chat just to ask people to slam the like button. I appreciate it, John Nolte. And you know what? He's right. Guys, if you're enjoying the show, if you're watching and you're enjoying the show, the best thing you could do is just hit the like button. Just hit the like button. You know, like, it helps out. It's like we're working here for you. We're trying to entertain you. Yeah, obviously, if you're watching the show, you're watching it. It's just clicking on the little thumb. So I appreciate that, John Nolte. We appreciate you. We love you. Thanks so much, brother.
Saruki, don't feel bad about being confused about the deal. I mean, the contract, the trade, there's so many layers to it. And it feels like if you read 5 different sources about it, the details and what happens in this situation, you'll see 5 different ideas on what this option is, what this cap hit is in this situation. So I still believe when this actually does go through, the Jets will do something to sort of rework the contract a little bit anyway. So I'm starting to feel more and more like it's kind of all for naught, because a lot of this is just going to get redone anyway. But yeah, hey, we definitely thank you for having the season that you've had, allowing the Jets to be in this particular situation. So
yeah. No, look, it's yeah. I mean, it's tricky because it's so easy to think, well, I mean, there's so many different arguments, right? I mean, it's like you're talking about Aaron Rodgers. He's a Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. He's arguably the greatest player to ever play and put on a Green Bay Packer uniform, right? And he really is a guy who, on the right team, a team that's like ready now, like if you look at the Jets and you look at the young players on the offense and you look at the defense, can make them a Super Bowl contender. So that would make you think, as a Packer fan, they should give us a lot. There's value there. But at the same time, you have to remember the contract and that what they're facing is because we're already paying a lot by taking him. It's like, yes, we're getting this great opportunity, but we're also taking a guy who might retire after 1 year, and we're still going to owe about $20 million a year for the next 2 years after that for. So there's a price to be had afterwards. There is the contract. There is the money. That's the thing when you look back at Kansas City when they traded for Joe Montana from the Niners in the 90s, that why you can't make an even comparison, because Kansas City wasn't getting stuck into this crazy contract and rescuing San Francisco from a crazy contract. So it's complicated, and there's a lot of layers. And there's a lot of moving parts because, again, we don't know if there's gonna be some kind of change in the way the contract is structured, and we don't know if Aaron Rodgers is gonna play more than 1 year. There's so many different things that you got to consider. So it's just, at the end of the day, there's so many Packer fans too. Not this great guy Saruji, who I appreciate being here, but there's so many Packer fans and Jet fans, like on Twitter, fighting over this.
wow,
and it's so silly to fight over it because guess what? The deal's going to happen, and whatever it is, it is. So there's no point in fighting over it because it's going to happen, and we're going to know the answer.
It was, yeah, I mean, it was one of those things. Now, as you know, I lived in Chicago for about 20 years, but the thing is, where I was living, you pretty much get about 85% Bears fans, about 14% Packers fans, and 1% everything else. That's the way it is. So I was around a whole lot of Packers fans. I've always thought Packer fans are pretty fair and rational and reasonable. I have quite a few fans who are Green Bay Packers fans, but the ones that I've seen over the last couple of months, oh my Lord! Like people say today, I didn't even know that Jet fans were even on social media until 2 months ago. It's like, you didn't have a
never
reason
know
to
about
even
other
look
fan
for
bases.
us. But,
Yeah.
it's been amazing. But, the bottom line is this. There are nut jobs in every single fan base, in every single group of people, and social media just brings it out that much more.
The other thing you got to it's one of those things too with like looking at and expecting fans of franchises that have been managed relatively well, and the Green Bay Packers have been managed excellently except for when Gutekunst took over, because they've been mismanaged like hell ever since he took over. That being said, like if you look at who are these smarter fan bases out there, they're the fan bases of bad teams because they know what their teams should be doing, right? It's like the expectation that the Kansas City Chiefs fan are going to know what they're talking about when they see a quarterback. No, they don't. They like, especially new ones. You've had one guy. That's your mold. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's best quarterback in the, or like Patriots fans who were legitimately excited for Mac Jones. Anybody with two eyes would have known that Mac Jones wasn't going to be an exciting prospect. When you had Tom Brady, for 15 years, how are you going to expect to know anything? You don't know how to evaluate a wide receiver because Tom Brady's going to make up for that. It's the same thing that happens with the Green Bay Packers. And it's like, again, I know a lot of Green Bay Packers fans that are super like intelligent and polite, but like the general Green Bay Packer fan that's going to be on Twitter and actually going to be responding and fighting with people is not going to know what's going on. Come on. Like, how can you? You just came off of an era with the number one wide receiver in football in Devontae Adams, the best quarterback in football, top 5 thrower of the football of all time in Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon are 2 top 20 running backs. One's a top 10, the other one's a top 20 running backs. How are you going to know anything? You've just been blessed with great players. Like, no, we know what good players are because we see them beat our Jets every single week. We have to see a bunch of these guys. Like, we tend to be better, not this time around, thankfully. We tend to be better and smarter than most of our coaching staff and or general manager. We've been that way for years.
We don't want to be smarter than them.
No.
We do not want this. This is not our goal.
For the first time in a long time, we're not. Joe Douglas is smarter than every single fan, every single Jets fan. And you know what? It's refreshing as crap because I wouldn't have taken Sauce at 4 last year. I thought we were good. I was ready to run out DJ Reed and Brandon Eccles for 17 games. And while that would have probably been okay, boy, was I wrong.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I have a Sauce jersey. It's right there. It's there.
It's amazing because in the 21 draft, we were all so convinced we needed a cornerback, and when we didn't really take anybody high up, everybody said, "Oh my God, they're gonna kill us! They're gonna eat us alive!" And then everybody, I don't know if it was true, if it's right or wrong to have felt that way, but everyone thought that Eccles and Hall did a fine job, and that we were kind of okay. And then we signed Reed, and everyone thought that we were totally solid there. And then all of a sudden, we take Sauce. It's hysterical. It's like, it proves that we really don't know Joe Douglas, and we're never really sure what he's going to do.
And don't forget, it's like there was a good portion of the fan base having like full body conniptions when they cut Bless Austin. That's our only quarterback with experience. What are you doing?
Remember that too.
Oh my goodness! And where did he go?
And the thing that I think keeps on blowing me away with Joe Douglas and this coaching staff and this front office is the fact that they have zero fear of injecting competition into any room. We've got 3 starters. I don't care. Can we make the 4th guy better? Can we make the 5th guy better? Can we make the 6th guy better? And everything in my mind is pointing to the fact that I would not be surprised if we took a corner in this year's draft. Wouldn't be surprised at all. At all. We've met with 3 of them. All top 150 picks. All 3 of them. One of these guys is going to go in the 2nd.
It's wild. They might be thinking we need a 3rd guy. Any chance they're looking at a corner and thinking conversion to free safety or slot back up to Mike Carter? Like, do you think there's anything like that going on, Tigo, or do you think they just flat out want another cornerback?
They're looking. The way that I look at it is they're looking at a DJ Reed replacement.
Wow.
Remember, he's only under contract for this year.
Right.
This is the last year of his deal. So like, or like, again, it's all about building up that pipeline. Like, what if we can't keep DJ? He only signed a 2-year deal. What if DJ walks? Right? Was it a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal? I'm gonna look.
Well, he was restructured. Keep that in mind. So I'll
but
check.
that's adding void years to the back end of it.
And the void years. I'll check real quick.
If you could, thank you. Like, so like, let's assume Eccles is the Reed replacement per se. And this is okay. Let me start by saying this. I already feel. I haven't even looked at the comments. I can already feel people yelling at me. I want DJ Reed to be on this team. Let me start by saying that. But one of the things that we need to understand is that good teams lose good players, and we need to have good replacements for those good players. Luckily, we have a guy named Brandon Eccles. I really like Brandon Eccles, but who's going to replace Eccles as cornerback 4? Michael Carter II doesn't have a backup. Who's going to back him up? Is Bryce Hall worth keeping on this team? Is there not a better Justin Hardy who might be younger in the draft? And now we're talking about the cornerback position, but let's talk about another position that a lot of people aren't a fan of us drafting, but I am on this bandwagon. We're drafting it, and it's a running back. The Jets have met with 4 running backs. Only one of them is slated to be an undrafted free agent. Every single other one is day 3 guys.
That's wild. Who did they meet with? Did they meet with Spears or Israel or
Dwayne McBride, Owen Wright, Zach Evans, and Keaton Mitchell? And and Owen Wright is the only one slated to be a undrafted free agent. And his meeting is more like he plays in New Jersey, so they invited him to come to their workout that they're doing at the facility. But Dwayne McBride is a 3rd-round pick. He's a low 3rd, high 4th-round pick. Zach Evans, same thing. Keaton Mitchell, same thing. They're all low 3rd, high 4ths. And so what does that tell me? The Jets are going running back at the 4th round. It's going to happen.
Well, that's wild. And what it would tell me is they think that they don't think very much of either Michael Carter or Bam Knight. Like, one of those guys is not as high in their hearts as we think they are. Right?
No, I don't think that at all. You cannot rush Brees back. Every single statistic, when you look at this compounded injury in the ACL and the meniscus, says that rushing a guy back is going to hinder his development and push him back a whole year. That if you rush him back, his year 1 is going to be bad, like year 1 back, and he's only going to be at full speed probably in his last year of his contract if you rush him back. Or if you just give him time to rejuvenate, you can have him halfway through the year and ready for the back half of the season. And the other thing is we only have 3 running backs on the roster right now who can play week 1. Michael Carter, Ty Johnson, and Bam Knight. That's it. Michael Carter has gotten hurt both of the last 2 years and missed time. Bam Knight, while exciting, fell off hard at the end of the season. And while I am a Ty Johnson supporter, he is still Ty Johnson. Like,
the offensive line fell off really more than
100%.
More than anything there.
100%. But Brees Hall played behind a horrible offensive line as well, and he was on track to run for a million yards and 35 million touchdowns.
He had AVT. Just saying.
Yes, but still, he had one good offensive lineman. He was making his own space. The Green Bay play that is in my intro, or no, is it Green Bay? Denver play? One where he's supposed to run around and he cuts back up and takes it to the end zone.
Right up the middle, takes to the house.
Tell me who's making that. Tell me which one of our running backs is making that move. Is Ty Johnson making that cut? Is Michael Carter making that cut? Is Bam? None of them are making that. Ty Johnson does. He doesn't have the quickness to make or the vision to see that, make the cut, and get upfield. Because if he did, Ty Johnson would be a top running back in the NFL. He just doesn't have the vision or the quickness.
But the whole thing with Michael Carter, again, to me, I keep going back to the end of One Jets Drive when he was watching his first season back and lamenting about getting caught from behind. He said, man, I've got to get that extra gear next year. He didn't have that extra gear this past year. And that's what disappointed me more than anything, because he's a guy that I like and I want to really, really like. But injuries are one thing. But to me, I was looking for a step up in his game. I didn't see it. And then for him to carry on like a little child when Elijah Moore was traded, that told me a lot about him. Because
his friend got traded.
Come on, but you don't need to be scrubbing Jets from your social media. You don't need to be blocking everybody like Mekhi Becton does. Have a little more mental toughness than that, Michael. That's what I'm saying. But to go back to what you said earlier, Tigo, DJ's under contract for 2 more years. So yeah. So
we have an out after this year, is what it is, right? But not anymore because we were.
The base salary is 2.8 for this year, 10.5 for next year. The cap hit is 7.9 this year, and then according to this, 15.6 million next year. Then you get to the void years in 2025.
Again, not trying to get rid of DJ. Love me some DJ, but still, you look at it and you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe. And remember, you shouldn't draft for 1 year out. Everyone, you keep hearing this in GM circles, is that you draft players this year to need them in 2 years. You shouldn't be drafting players to start this year.
And too often, that's what we were doing. Yeah, for years before Joe Douglas, we were doing that.
And now we're in a position where we don't need to draft starters. Outside of the defensive tackle room, which I think we can get some guys in free agency still. We don't need a starter at any position on the football field.
I think that Joe Douglas is it's going to be hard to predict, and I think you're right. He could take a running back. He could. There's no reason to think that he couldn't. He's proving to be a guy that if he sees somebody he feels will be special, and that's the best player that's on the board, and he's at a higher level than the other players, he's going to do it. He just wants to fill the team with talented, real, true stars, like true quality players. He's not looking for like our best player on our team like 3 years ago to be a guy named Marcus May. Like that's not what he's looking for. He's looking for stars. Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson. He wants high level players on this roster.
Yep. And I think Rob V says it perfectly. Joe Douglas is going to go best player available, regardless of position, because that's what you should do when you're in this position. Just go and get the best player.
Jeremy, do you I need to go back. We've had this conversation before, the three of us have, but I need to go back. I want to get your opinion. Tigo said the Jets do not need a starter, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. I want to make sure I got it right. He said the Jets do not need a starter on this team right now.
Yep.
Jeremy,
outside
do you
of
agree?
defensive tackle.
Well,
thank you. Okay, thank you.
I literally said that. That was the second thing that. I said we don't need a starter outside of defensive tackle, and don't be surprised if we get someone in free agency so that we can go into this draft not needing a starter.
Okay, I'll add to that, assuming we sign Jones like at center. Like I think we need a starting center. Like I don't feel comfortable.
I know. Here comes Tristan Colon. I know. I know.
I'd give Colon a shot. I'm not saying I'm super comfortable with it, but if we came down to it and that's who our center is, I'm not mad at it. Hell, I put Elijah Vera Tucker in there and put Colon at guard.
I honestly think that we're gonna sign Jones. I honestly believe it.
I don't think so. Jones retires.
I think we're signing him.
Wouldn't Ben Jones want to come here if he knew he had the chance to play with Aaron Rodgers? And wouldn't Aaron Rodgers want a good veteran he could trust to snap him the ball? I think if Rodgers comes, Jones comes. That's my feeling.
Yeah, I don't know if Jones is again. Does Jones hope that we don't take a center in the second? Probably. That being said,
Jones is a great backup plan if we don't draft the center.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole thing. He's a great backup plan, but I don't think we sign him until after the draft.
And I'm
probably
down
already
with that.
got a shadow deal in place.
A shadow deal.
If we don't draft a center, come be our center for a year. Because who's going after Ben Jones? Like a lot of these teams out there aren't in win now mode. They need a center. They need long-term centers. We're the only one, from what I can tell, that needs a center, and we're in win now mode. That we're willing to give a 33-year-old with some injury history a 1-year deal.
Has the market dried up for Quan Alexander?
No. Again, deep linebacker class.
Huh?
Why would you sign a guy if you can draft him? Remember, we didn't get Quan until after the draft anyway.
That's right.
Right. So why is Quan not signed? That's all I'm saying. Why didn't he go
Because of the
somewhere?
draft. Because of the draft. He's like, what team is going to look at Quan and be like, oh my gosh, that's a game-breaking piece? Quan wasn't even a starter for us. He was a rotational guy.
Sub linebacker.
Yeah.
Right.
He was a rotational linebacker. Like, that's it. We used him in rotation with Quincy. He wasn't even a starter for us. Now, he probably
Right.
wants to go to a team where he's going to be a starter, and it's in his best interest to wait until after the draft. Because,
Mhm.
like, let's say I think he's going to end up in Houston. But what happens when Houston drafts two linebackers? Like,
Right.
don't they have 2 second-round picks, Houston? What happens if they take two linebackers in the second, which it wouldn't be outside of the realm of possibility? Expect both of those guys to start over
Yeah.
Quan. And so, yeah, Quan is going to wait. The same thing with Connor McGovern. He's going to wait. Like, just wait, because there's no point in rushing it. At this point in time, if you're not a highly sought-after free agent and you're trying to reset the market, like, that's the thing. Day one of free agency is for the top-end players because they need to get their deals done before other people get their deals done. Because, like, the Tremaine Edmonds deal reset the linebacker market. And so he needed to get his deal done, because what happens when TJ Edwards, a guy who's just as good as him, didn't get that deal, doesn't get the $18 million a year deal? How is Tremaine Edmonds going to legitimately ask for $18 million?
Houston has a 1 second-round pick. Here's what Houston has: 2, 12, 33, 65, 73. That's just their first 5 picks. They have, if you go by draft power rankings on Tankathon, they have far and away the best draft.
Yeah,
to
so
work with
many
by
They got
far.
so many.
Jeez. Wow.
But again,
And,
like,
and
what
it's
happens
scary
if
to
they
think
take a guy
who's
in the
second.
and the third?
Seattle's second, and we know how good Seattle did last year. They've got 5, 20, 37, 52. They got 5 top 83 picks.
Jesus Christ.
Seattle has a chance to kill it again. But hey, glad they're in the NFC.
It's one of those things where at this point in time, you wait. You wait for teams to be desperate. You wait for teams to need their guy. It's the same thing that Dwayne Brown did last year. If he would have signed with a team before the draft, Dwayne Brown isn't going to move the needle on you not drafting a tackle. You would still draft a tackle, even if you signed Dwayne Brown. But Dwayne Brown as your oh shit option, not only does he get more money by doing that, like he did out of the Jets, he guarantees himself a position to start, which is what he needs. And that's what he got. He got himself a 2-year deal and a guaranteed starting job.
Yeah.
And guaranteed a starting job this year, at least for the first couple of weeks, by playing last year with no arms. Like,
Yeah.
that's why. We're not going to see very many more signings now until the draft, because players don't want to go to a team to get replaced by a young guy who's not making any money.
They want to make sure they know the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah, the only one who might sign might be Beckham. That's about it.
Yeah. But again, top end of the spectrum.
I know.
An elite
He's
wide
different.
receiver, right?
Right.
Like,
He's his own.
DeAndre Hopkins gets cut. Boom. That's an elite wide receiver. That's a different part of the
You
spectrum.
think Hopkins could be like one of those draft night trades, just like A.J. Brown was, where it comes out of absolutely nowhere and happens in the middle of the draft? I can see something like that happening again. Maybe.
But like,
There'll be a player traded somewhere during the draft in the first round.
under that, and it's probably going to be Lamar Jackson. Under that guy's Adam, when is he being traded? Because he shouldn't go for anything more than a day 3 pick. He shouldn't go for higher than a 6th or a 7th. Brandon Cooks went for a 5th and a 6th. And he's younger and has more 1,000-yard. No, D-Hop has more, but you get what I'm saying. He doesn't have the bad fish scandal or the drugged up scandal or whatever that Hopkins had, right? He just gave up on Houston. And to be fair, who wouldn't give up on Houston last year? But and he went for a 5th and a 6th. Hopkins wants out. They want him gone. They can't pay him. They might just cut the guy. I honestly think they're just going to.
Well, I mean, that's why some teams, it's the same thing with Derek Carr, why the Raiders couldn't trade him. People are just going to wait for them to cut him.
No. Remember, Derek said that he's not waiving his no trade clause. Derek put that in.
Oh, he said he won't waive it?
Yeah, he said he wouldn't waive it. They had deals in place. The Jets had a deal in place. The Saints had a deal in place. And then Derek came at the witching hour and said, nah, I'm not going to accept the trade to anything. I'm not going to waive my no trade clause.
Huh. Yeah, look, it's going to be a fascinating draft because I think that we're going to end up being shocked. And I think that's fun. I think it's fun when things happen that surprise people. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Hey, we're only 3 weeks and 1 day away. It doesn't
We're
feel
gonna-
all that far away anymore, does it now?
No.
Yeah, 3 weeks. Yeah. April 27th, so 22 days.
Wow. It's crazy.
Yep.
I got I'm going to ask you guys. I got a question for each one of you, and Chad, feel free to answer this question as well.
11.
What?
I'm guessing the answer is 11.
Maybe. No. Who is one player who has been rumored to possibly be a Jets target in the first round? Where if the Jets draft him, you would say, "What are we doing?" Where you would be upset, where you'd be disappointed. Brian Branch.
Brian Branch.
Okay.
Not for the player, just why?
The safety first round thing. Are we a little burned by Jamal?
No, just
Okay.
where is he gonna play? We already have 3 strong safeties that we're forcing one of them to play. Like, that's a hat on a hat. I'm not mad at the player. It's just one of those. Bijan. Yeah, that's a better answer probably.
I was wondering which Robinson, but yeah, Bijan. I cannot imagine we would ever take a first round running back.
If we did, though, there wouldn't be a part of you at all that would be like, holy shit, that's kind of exciting.
Well, yes, but it's the initial shock of like, really? This is the pick that we make? With the tackles on the board, with
I need to go trench.
Like the tight ends on the board, like the wide receivers on the board. Like you passed up Jackson Smith-Njigba, you passed up Broderick Jones, you passed up Anton Harrison, Kalijah Cansey, Tyree Wilson, maybe. I don't know. You passed up all of these guys for Bijan at 13? Running back when we have Brees?
Yeah, you can't do it.
I guess
For
like
Bijan,
we're gonna be the best running team in the NFL for the next 4 years, and it's gonna be a blast. But really, like, who's gonna block for him?
You can't do it.
I just always call him Mustard, Bijan Mustard Robinson. But yeah, we're seeing all kinds of answers here. I'm seeing Cansey, I'm seeing JSN, any defensive back. That's interesting. Richardson. Okay. Anthony Richardson. We're not rumored to be taking a quarterback first round, Pat. I don't think that's.
But that would be the biggest disappointment is if we took a quarterback in the first.
That would be.
Oh my god.
They are right.
Yeah, I would go on a level of drinking that night. That would be scary if we actually went with a quarterback first round.
What if we took a corner? What if we took one of the top cornerbacks?
Like a Witherspoon or a Gonzalez?
Not Witherspoon. Give me Gonzalez at 13. Woo! Move DJ to the inside. And never don't play nickel.
If you know what, if I had enough confidence in our lines and I felt we were in a position to really take the best player available, I can make the argument. But I'm sorry, I cannot even think about a corner until we address the lines. I need at least 2 picks on the line, both one on each.
Yeah, I want Kalijah Cansey.
I would love Kalijah.
Cansey's going like I haven't saw a mock draft where he's going before 13 or he's going like 11, 12.
Yeah,
like
he can be going.
He's going up like the freaking space shuttle.
Like if all three of the tackles that I think that the Jets are in, which is Paris Johnson Jr., Broderick Jones, and Anton Harrison are gone at 13, and Gonzalez is there, take him.
And Skoronski's got. I'm sorry. You said wait. Run through.
I said the tackles. I don't think the Jets are going to look at Skoronski as a tackle.
Oh, plus the other one. Okay.
So if it's Broderick, Harrison, and
Paris Johnson,
if they're all gone,
okay, I'm with you.
At 13, and Gonzalez is somehow still there, and like you're talking about like, okay, like yeah, Kalijah Cansey, he's got a little bit of a question mark. Gonzalez, that's top 20 cornerback in the NFL potential. You partner top 20 cornerback in the NFL with best cornerback in the NFL. Ooh, Look, I'm not saying to do it. That's not the draft strategy. But if that happened, we would have the scariest secondary in all of the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, Cansey, like we talked about this. He's right now about 280 pounds. He needs to put on a good 15 pounds ish or so or more. So
We'll move outside.
yeah. Well, I mean, you can move him outside, but we're pretty good over there. I'm worried about on the inside. I mean, we talk about Al Woods, and I see Jets fans getting all excited about a 13-year journeyman who's 36 years old, and this would be like his 6th or 7th team at this point. You know what?
We don't need the defensive tackle. Like, okay, we need the defensive tackle, but we don't need a superstar.
Not that kind of a defensive tackle.
Yeah,
I still want Puna
guy.
Ford. I still want Puna Ford. I would still like Shelby Harris. Those are the two guys that I'm looking at in free agency. And then draft somebody. And then you have like a Solomon Thomas down around the 4. Tanzel Smart. Maybe grab Jonathan Marshall when the Steelers cut him. Maybe do
he's
that.
Staying.
No, yeah. Until he's activated for a game, I don't know, man.
No, but they'll carry him on the roster. Didn't they just let 2 defensive tackles go in free agency?
I haven't tracking that one.
Yeah, I have friends that are
Ogunjobi. Wait, was Ogunjobi one?
He went back.
He went back. Okay.
Yeah, he's playing. He's playing end for them. Remember, they run a 3-4.
Oh, good for them.
So Weed the People comes in with a $2 super chat. Thank you, my friend, and he wants to smoke with us.
I'm surprised. Weed, you got to donate $4.20. Don't you know how this works for you, man?
I will let you do your thing. I will not be joining you, my good sir.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know what to do with it.
Weed, if you come out, Weed the People, if you come out to Sacramento, I'll take you on a tour of all the great dispensaries. They're all over Sacramento. I see them everywhere. You'd be in heaven.
Get me to the brewery or to a distillery, and I'm good.
But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it.
You take care of us. That scares me.
Love Weed the People. Thank you, man. We love you.
11:47 already, man. How these nights go by sometimes.
I know, and I smelled dinner, so that's what I'm thinking.
All
right. What you got? I want to say something. Me and Tigo released the video. I was very honored to be part of it, where we did a full first round mock draft together, and I'm really proud of it. I thought it was a great draft. I thought it's a great show. So if you haven't been, anybody listening, if you haven't been over to Tigo's channel, Talking Jets with Tigo, even if you're subscribed but you didn't notice it, go over there and check out that video. Check out our full first round mock. It's really cool. I thought it was a great show. Really, really good stuff. And what else you got going on, Tigo?
Well, first, let me say, link is in the chat to that video if you want to watch it. 350 of you have already watched that. But if some of you haven't seen it, it was a fun time. I thought it was enjoyable. We had some different takes and some different ways that things went. Guys went much sooner than I had traditionally assumed, and guys went later than I assumed. And you made an interesting pick with the Jets. I thought it was a fun time, but other than that, like I said, we're doing regular. Now we're really going to start doing draft content, like super, super hard. I finally finished all of my evaluations, my big boards, all of that stuff. So over the coming days, what we're going to see a lot of over the next coming weeks is going to be positional rankings based on Tigo and what are the Jets' needs, who are some sleeper picks, and just a ton of draft content. We do the live stream every Friday at 9:30. We do the Monday mock where I try to do something different with the New York Jets mock draft every Monday. We do a full first round mock draft every Sunday with a new guest. So last week, like I said, it was Jeremy. The week before that, it was Dom C. We're lining up some people. People's schedules are super busy. But yeah, super fun time. We're doing a bunch of stuff. And yeah, that's really it.
Very nice.
And keep your eye out because I'm still working out the details, but I have been, I'll let the little nugget out here. I have been invited by a group of content creators that aren't Jets related to do some draft content, and we're working on that stuff. So very exciting working on that to get some perspectives on people from different teams. And like different fan bases. So I'm excited to do that.
Very cool. Very cool. What say you, WA2K99?
Well, I just released my 300th video yesterday, so we hit a little milestone over there. And yeah, as I did do a recap on WrestleMania nights 1 and 2. I did a video for the Virginia Jets fans to show off some of the brand new prizes that we got available. Done quite a bit of hockey talk as of late. You know, the hockey is definitely heating up. Talked a little Rangers Devils. Those two teams seem destined to lock horns in the first round of the playoffs. Islanders have a good chance to grab a wild card spot where they'll face either Boston or Carolina. So we're definitely doing that. I'll probably do something related to the draft. I'm not going to go. I'm not as quite in depth as Tigo is or as Dom is, just because I have different interests that I look at. But I think I will be doing some things on maybe some possible sleepers and maybe some potential busts. Maybe I'll do that sort of a thing as opposed to like a full mock. But you can find me at NY Sports Wicker Media. Appreciate everybody who's taken the time to watch our videos. And hey, you got the Three Musketeers right here. So keep tuning in. You never know what we might say next.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Tigo, thanks for coming on again. You're the best. WA2K, you're the best co-host. Thanks so much. Thanks, everybody here in the chat. You guys made the show tonight. We appreciate you. We love you. Have a great night. Check out Tigo on Friday night. I'll probably jump on and do something random over the weekend at some point. And until then, I think we're on for tomorrow night, Thursday, thick of it. I think Green Bay's going to come out of his from under the rock.
I was wondering. I'm like, did I miss the mock draft on Monday? I was wondering what was going on there.
No, he's been hiding out a little bit, doing some stuff. But as far as I know, he's on. So we'll see you guys tomorrow on Green Bean Jets Fan, Thursday, thick of it, near the end of the show. But we'll be in the background the whole time. Everybody, take care. Have a great one. I'm about to eat some ravioli with portobello mushrooms. It smells amazing.
Like it. Like it.
Take care.
We are live. We got Harry W. We got Richie from Jets Media, Matt O'Leary, Iowa Jets fan, who in the house. We got Dom C in the house. We got Steve, live, CEO of the Jet Lounge. So I knew I'd get rich on my channel. See what's going on. Yeah, there we go. Woo.
Jets by 1 million today.
Yeah.